Donald Trump reiterated his desire to buy Greenland. Luigi Mangione entered a not guilty plea in New York, and the IRS could soon send you $1,400. That's some of what we'll get to on The 7 from The Washington Post. I'm Rennie Svirnovsky, in for Hannah Jewell. It's Tuesday, December 24th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1. A House report found that Matt Gaetz paid a 17-year-old girl for sex. Until recently, Gaetz was a congressman from Florida and a leading Republican voice. You'll probably remember that he was briefly Donald Trump's pick to be Attorney General, the nation's top law enforcement official. Questions about Gaetz reached a fever pitch last month, and Gaetz withdrew his name from consideration for the job in late November. Yesterday, we got some more insight as to why. A report released by the House Ethics Committee made some shocking allegations against the former congressman. It said he regularly paid for sex, including a payment to a 17-year-old girl in 2017. It also found that on multiple occasions from 2017 to 2019, Gaetz possessed illegal drugs. The report is the culmination of years of scrutiny surrounding Gaetz and the allegations against him. If you want to read more, you can find a link to the full report in our newsletter. As usual, just follow the link in our show notes. Trump is threatening to take over the Panama Canal. That's number 2. During a speech on Sunday, the president-elect went on a pretty confusing tangent about the Panama Canal. That's a 50-mile man-made shipping lane that provides an essential shortcut through Central America.
Our Navy and Commerce have been treated in a very unfair and injudicious way. The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous, highly unfair, especially knowing the extraordinary generosity that has been bestowed to Panama, I say very foolishly, by the United States. This complete ripoff of our country will immediately stop.
Trump says he wants ships to pay less to move through the canal. And he said he would seize control over the waterway if he doesn't get what he wants. But it's not clear at all how he would go about that. The U.S. had possession of the canal until 1977, but it has been fully controlled by Panama since 1999. Following Trump's speech, Panama's president said his country's control of the canal is irreversible. And the canal isn't the only thing Trump has his eye on. He has spoken again about wanting to buy Greenland, calling it, quote, an absolute necessity. But Greenland is part of Denmark, and officials in both Greenland and Denmark say it is not for sale. Number 3. The United Healthcare murder suspect pleaded not guilty in New York. Luigi Mangione is the 26-year-old man accused of killing Brian Thompson on December 4th. Yesterday, he appeared in state court in Manhattan. Mangione pleaded not guilty. He faces the prospect of life in prison without parole on charges including murder. He is separately charged in federal court. Those charges could be punishable by death. In the courtroom, we got a preview of Mangione's possible legal strategy. His lawyer, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, blasted officials, including New York's mayor, for making what she called a, quote, spectacle of Mangione. And she said their public comments about the case could taint the future jury pool in the upcoming trial.
I'm very concerned about my client's right to a fair trial in this case. He's being prejudiced by some statements that are being made by government officials. Like every other defendant, he is entitled to a presumption of innocence. But unfortunately, the way this has been handled so far, his rights are being violated.
A pier in Santa Cruz, California, partially collapsed. That's number 4. A series of storms is bringing rain, snow, and wind to the west, and the wild weather caused some dramatic damage yesterday. A wharf in Santa Cruz partially collapsed because of the strong waves. Officials said 2 engineers and a city official were tossed into the water. They were inspecting the pier when it collapsed, but they weren't seriously injured. You can see drone footage of the damage in our newsletter. In other weather news, several states appear to be on course for a white Christmas tomorrow. Snow is expected on the ground in parts of about 30 states, from Alaska to the mountains of California to Maine. Number 5. You could soon get up to $1,400 from the IRS. The agency made an intriguing announcement last week. It said it's issuing, quote, special payments to more than 1 million Americans who did not receive all of their stimulus money during the coronavirus pandemic. The federal government sent out 3 rounds of stimulus checks to shore up households and the economy. Most recipients were eligible for $1,200 in the first payment, $600 in the second, and $1,400 in the final round. If you qualify, you shouldn't have to do anything to claim your money. The IRS will mail checks or deposit the funds directly this month or next. So keep an eye out for the letter from the IRS, and good luck. Strikes at Starbucks are expected to hit more than 300 U.S. stores today. That's number 6.
No coffee! No contract! No coffee!
The strike began Friday after negotiations with Starbucks over pay increases reached an impasse. By yesterday, barista walkouts had reached stores in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and other cities. Today, the walkout is expanding further to locations in Atlanta, Buffalo, and elsewhere. If the strike expands as planned, it will still only affect a small percentage of the more than 10,000 locations owned by Starbucks. But the union says it will be the largest against the coffee giant to date. So check whether your store is impacted before you set out for a festive coffee today. Baristas are expected to return to their jobs later this week. And at number 7, A Complete Unknown, a Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothée Chalamet, is in theaters today.
When's the new album out?
Soon. 200 people in that room, and each one wants me to be somebody else. They should just let me be.
Let you be what?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
The hotly anticipated movie covers the first 4 years of Dylan's career, culminating in his controversial decision to go electric in 1965. Chalamet put a lot of work into the role. The actor spent 5 years learning to sing and play the guitar and harmonica so he could sound like the legendary folk and rock musician. Our critic Ty Burr gave the movie 3 stars out of 4 and wrote that Chalamet is excellent in it. But Edward Norton steals the show with an unexpectedly tragic portrayal of folk singer Pete Seeger. You can find the full glowing review in our newsletter today. So if you want to watch a movie over the holidays, check out A Complete Unknown. Or just watch A Charlie Brown Christmas for the 100th time, like me. All right, you're all caught up. The 7 is taking a break for the holiday tomorrow. And on Thursday, we'll be sharing the latest episode of Try This, an audio course on how to cultivate joy in your life. I'm Rennie Smirnovsky, and I'll be back with you here on Friday. Until then, happy holidays.
My name is Michelle Singletary, and I'm the personal finance columnist for The Washington Post. When I was growing up, I was raised by my grandmother, who was such a masterful money manager. And I watched her handle her money and talk to me about it. And I like to think that I'm the reader's big mama. There's so much information about your money out there, a lot of it wrong or inappropriate. But when you pay for a subscription to the Post, you're paying for a skilled journalist who has had years of experience, who I hope that you can trust. Your subscription helps pay for my salary. It helps pay for the illustrators, the copy editors, all the people who are involved in putting together the material that you read that could help inform your life. I'm Michelle Singletary, and I'm one of the people behind the Post.